My wife and I spent the week before Rosh Hashanah in Israel celebrating the birth and the bris of a new grandson. While we were there, we had the added benefit of being able to spend time with our married children who are living there and with our older grandson who was also born in Israel about 6 months ago. One night, I was holding one of our grandsons. My wife was holding the other one. I was looking at them. I was looking at her. And I felt like my gratitude circuitry was going to overload. As a personal injury attorney, my office is filled with files concerning people whose lives were cut short unexpectedly. We have no lease on life. We can't demand that God let us live another year or even another minute. Our lives are gifts from God. How much more so the lives of our children. And grandchildren, that's another level. And for my parents and my in-laws who are celebrating the birth of a new great-grandchild, that's a whole nother level. When you get a gift like that, you can't help but notice the widening of the gap between what we deserve, which is absolutely nothing, and what God has given us. So I was trying to figure out how to best channel or harness that feeling in order to have a more successful Yom Kippur. And I was reminded of a conversation that I had recently. I was at a wedding with my teenage son, and he asked if I could drive home a couple of his friends. I said, sure. And during the course of that long drive, his friends started asking me the usual questions that teenage boys pose concerning my law practice. What's the biggest case he ever had? What's the craziest case he ever had? What's the worst injury you've ever seen? And after we canvassed that area, one of them said, Mr. Rothenberg, can I ask you a question about Judaism? I said, you can, but just realize I'm a lawyer, not a rabbi. He said, yeah, but you do those videos, don't you? I said, yes, but just because I play a rabbi on TV doesn't make me one. But go ahead, what's your question? He said, well, I learned that I'm allowed to add my own individual prayers into the davening. So when I say the Shemona Esrei, the Amidah, and I get up to the blessing of Modim, Thanksgiving, I add my own individual thank yous, thanking God for my grandparents, and for my parents, and for my siblings, and for my rabbis, and for my teachers, and for my friends, and my classmates, and my neighbors, and for myself, for my health, and my house, and my possessions. I said, that's beautiful. What's your question? He said, well, it takes me so long to say all those thank yous that I fall behind in the prayers. So should I keep saying them? So I gave him a practical suggestion as to how he could keep saying those all-important thank yous without falling behind in the prayers. But my answer wasn't nearly as good as the question. The question was a thunderclap from the mouths of babes, as they say. All of us should be cataloging that, saying those individual thank yous to God every day, but particularly before Yom Kippur. If you take the time to stop and think about each of the things that God has given you, you'll start squirming because you'll realize just how wide that gap is between what He's done for you and what you've done for Him. And hopefully, that feeling will engender the right thoughts of repentance, of teshuvah, the desire to come back to Him, to do better this year. But inevitably, there will be some people out there who don't have parents, or don't have a spouse, or don't have children, or don't have friends, and they're lonely, they're needy. So maybe when you catalog everything that God's done for you, you'll stand before Him in Yom Kippur and say, God, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. I feel so bad and I'm so embarrassed that I haven't held up my end of the bargain. I'm going to do a better job this year. I'm asking you, let me live another year, at least another year, so that I can spend it with my loved ones. And I'll make the commitment to you to help brighten the lives of those less fortunate.